What's going on, guys? Another episode of Mike's Rig Rundown. What's going on? How are you? It's been a while, huh? I've been putting most of my focus right now in Shreddy Boys. I haven't exactly done something for the channel in a little bit. So, today it's a little unorthodox, but, you know, with all of the new Death Clock news coming up, you know, there's the new movie, there's the new song that just recently dropped like a week and change ago. And of course, you know, with the vinyl drop and then there's the shows coming up, I figured better time than ever to release some Death Clock content. I'm one of the biggest Death Clock fans around. I worship them, and they were one of the first bands that really pushed me to play guitar. I owe a lot to this band, so I'm going to do something extremely unorthodox because, you know, when I do Mike's Rig Rundown, I'm like, you can actually get these instruments that I'm showing you, or in the last Rig Rundown, I showed you like a little video game thing, accessory, that you can actually go and get, but with these guitars specifically, they are discontinued, so I was a little weary of doing this, to be honest, because I don't want it to seem like I'm flexing on you guys or anything, but here we go. This is going to be Mike's Rig Rundown, and I am going to be showing you today the Epiphone Falcon and the Epiphone Thunderhorse. Let's go. So the way I'm going to do this, because this is a lot of information, up top I'm going to give you all of the specs for both guitars, and then I'm going to go through my usual checklist for these things. Alright, so first of all, let's go over the Epiphone Falcon, shall we? Alright, let's give it a little V for the camera. This is the Epiphone Falcon, and for you guys who are sticklers, of course, I'm going to show some stock footage, some B stock of the guitars more closer in person. But this is the Epiphone Falcon. So right off the bat, this is all Epiphone hardware, the tuners, you know, the actual tailpiece, all of it, the knobs and whatnot. We are working with a mahogany body and a mahogany neck with a maple fretboard. And, you know, you can't really see it, but there is a cream binding along the entire guitar. And, yeah, the fretboard is freaking white. It's painted white. And, yeah, off the top of my head, that's everything. These pickups are burst buckers, so they are Gibson burst bucker pickups. And the rest of the hardware is Epiphone, so right off the top, that is all of the hardware. The tuners, I believe they're Grover tuners, so that's good. And, yeah, right off the top, this was the second of the series that got released, so this is a little bit more advanced. We have coil tapping, so you could pull this little guy right here for coil tapping. And then this right here is a kill switch. You can't really, obviously it's not plugged in, but we have a kill switch. So you can do all your fancy beep bop robot effects, you know. And yeah, your normal toggle switch. And with most classic guitars, you have the input right here on the actual, the actual face of the guitar. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It is 24.75 scale length, and it's got 22 frets, jumbo frets. And I think that's it. The neck type, I don't know what the neck type is. It's very slender. But yeah, that's pretty much the specs for the Epiphone Falcon. Now let's do the Thunderhorse. All right, here we go. We have the Epiphone Thunderhorse. So as you can see, it has a silver burst body, right? It's got a black pickguard. It's got black on the back, and then it's got this cream binding that goes around the entire guitar, except for the actual headstock. It is 22 jumbo frets. And I believe the neck is, if I had a guess, I won't guess. Here, I'm going to take a guess and then edit it if I'm wrong. It feels like a D profile neck, so it seems a little bit thicker than the Falcon over there. It's got the same pickups. It's got the Gibson burst bucker pickups, the USA burst bucker pickups. And again, with the hardware, it's all Epiphone, so, you know, it's Epiphone, but it's arguably almost the same, you know, shop. So, you know, it's got a little pickup selector right here. It's got 3 speed knobs, Epiphone. And then, so like I said before, this was the first one that came out of the Death Clock signature guitars, the Brendan Small signatures. And this does not have the kill switch. However, it does have the pull pot switch right here, so you can do coil tapping and whatnot. So it also has Grover tuners. I believe they're the mini tuners. And yeah, that's about it. Mahogany body, mahogany neck, and yeah. So that is the Epiphone Thunderhorse. All right. Now that I have given a basic breakdown of all the specs over here, I am going to now talk about my little checklist that I got here. So here we go. Here's Mike's Rig Rundown. All right, so let's start off with the hardware, right? As I specified many times already, this is Epiphone hardware. So if you've ever played an Epiphone guitar, you know exactly what you're getting pretty much. You know, these are both, I don't know if it would be technically chrome. I think it's chrome hardware on both of these guitars. So, you know, the problem that you get with chrome, eventually it erodes unless you take care of it. When I got my Snow Falcon, it was pretty much perfect, so I haven't seen that problem yet with the hardware eroding yet. However, the Thunderhorse, I got it, I was traded the Thunderhorse, so it is a little bit worn, but you could always take care of that. There's solutions, but I mean, overall, in terms of holding tune, both have the robotic, you know, the Grover robotic tuners, so yeah, it holds tune. The hardware seems fine and familiar. If you've ever played an Epiphone, or, you know, it's got that tail piece right before, you know, the bridge, and it just feels very familiar to me because I have a lot of guitars like that. And yeah, I mean, the hardware seems fine. It does the trick. I haven't, you know, had any problems with it. And yeah. So now let's move down the list. We're going to go right into the neck. So again, like I said when I was talking about the guitars, the Epiphone Snow Falcon has a slightly thinner neck, I believe. Don't, you know, I'm gonna correct myself, but it feels thinner and it feels kind of easier to play. I personally am a Flying V guy myself, so I am very familiar with those types of guitars, and it just feels nicer to me, you know. The Epiphone Thunderhorse has more of a classic kind of feeling, you know, like you are playing a classic Gibson. However, it's still fast, it still plays well. In terms of the neck, I will say the Epiphone Snow Falcon is a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, both are fine, both play well, you know. I don't have any problems. I have used these guitars live and in several videos and covers and stuff, so clearly I wouldn't have kept them if they don't feel great. But yeah, the necks feel good, and you know, the Epiphone Snow Falcon is slightly thinner. In terms of the Snow Falcon, as you can see, same thing with the Thunderhorse, is the Snow Falcon is, you know, the neck is painted white. So I have no idea the process that undergoes. There seems to be no chipping or damage or anything to it, no erosion. I have no clue how, you know, that was one thing when I got the guitar, I was wondering about that. I'm like, how is that even possible that a guitar company can just do that and not, you know, cause issues? But it seems like it's held up. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. And same thing goes for the Epiphone Thunderhorse. It's got a black neck. It is not an ebony guitar, so I don't know if it's just stained that way. But yeah, both guitars, both necks just hold up well, and I don't have any problems with it. Aesthetically, it looks fantastic, you know, when you're on stage with a white, you know, neck. It just looks, you know, stunning, and I've only been complimented several times on these guitars, you know. And yeah, that's the neck. All right, let's move into comfortability. Now, this is very important specifically for this guy over here, the Epiphone Thunderhorse. The Epiphone Thunderhorse, as you know, is an explorer shape. So when it comes to comfort, sometimes these guitars can be tricky. You can get a guitar that just does like the little neck dip, and you have to constantly pick it up, and you're having these balancing issues regardless of whether you're at practice, on stage, or whatever. It is an issue sometimes with these guitars. And I've had Epiphones in the past, and there seems to always be, you know, weight issues, or, you know, issues with where the actual, like, you know, placement for the strap locks are. And yeah, it just seems to constantly be an issue with these guitars specifically. With the Thunderhorse, I don't really feel that, you know. Next to my Flying V's, I do have a Solar, which I've covered in a different video. I have a Solar Explorer type, and that doesn't have any neck dive issues. This one, too, does not have any neck dive issues, which goes a hell of a lot, you know, far for comfort. You know, you're not constantly worrying about that. And yeah, I will say, obviously, that this thing is heavier than the Snow Falcon, so you have to be cognizant of that if you ever do get one of these guitars. However, in terms of comfort, I really don't feel any issues with this, you know. With any guitar, you have to always worry about like the placement of the knobs and whatnot, and I feel like I never have to worry about the placement on Explorers specifically. But yeah, overall comfort, yeah, it does the trick. It sounds good. Fantastic. Now, with the Epiphone Snow Falcon, the Snow Falcon, again, is in my realm. I have mostly V's. I have my whole life. So this thing is so lightweight. I'm so used to it. So in terms of comfort, it's not even a question. This thing is fantastic. I like the placement. Obviously, it's got, you know, right here on the back of the neck, and then it's got one on the inside. So it's very good when you're on stage and you have something to actually anchor your guitar cable if you are going with the guitar cable, and it won't get in the way. There's no threat of it getting pulled out. Yeah, again, with comfort, it's got a thin neck. This thing is as light as a feather, so there's no chance of neck diving. And yeah, I mean, as I talked about with the neck segment, it feels very good, very speedy neck. So overall comfort, this thing is perfect. I have no problems with it. The switches down here, but again, I never, you know, come into contact with it. The one thing I will say that I don't like, and this is just a tricky thing with V's in general. They seem to not get this right sometimes, but this is an Epiphone, so it is a classic placement for this specifically. We have the jack right here on the face of the guitar. That is the only thing about a classic V that I am not really into, you know. If I had a choice, it would be definitely up here in this upper fin. It's the best, you know, in terms of it being out of the way. However, other than that, it's extremely comfortable, extremely playable. Yeah, no issues. Now, we are going to be moving into the sound. So, for this specifically, I'm going to do something I think I might have done in one other video. I'm going to put some clips right here of something I've recorded with each of these guitars. And this is a direct in sound. This isn't through an amp or anything. This is simulators, so, you know, take that what you will. And I'll show you exactly what I recorded with these. So, we'll be back in a second. Here you go. So both of these recordings were done in E-flat standard. That's the tuning that I have both of these guitars in. I know it's kind of a disservice. You're doing a Death Clock guitar video, but you don't have them in C standard. I'm going to fix that soon. I'm going to be doing some other videos, and I think I'm going to be using this guy for Death Clock cover. However, as you could hear, direct and not bad. That is with the Gibson pickups, When using these things live, I haven't had that much issues with the type of music that I play. I play thrash metal, So, yeah, it works. They work. I didn't need to change them. There was absolutely no issues. Usually with, playing thrash metal, you have to have an aggressive kind of pickup, But these guys do the trick. It works. It sounds fine. And, yeah, in terms of the sound, I'd say both guitars have good sustain, especially this guy for being a V. And yeah, I will say the Epiphone Snow Falcon does seem to have like a thinner tone, so you kind of have to compensate for that. It is a V, it's very light, while the Thunderhorse has definitely more of a rich, full-bodied tone. That's kind of just the deal with Explorers in general, versus Epiphone. One's a thin, a little bit thinner, but with that being said, it can be more aggressive at times. You don't have to dial much in. And then with the Epiphone, it's definitely fuller, so you kind of have to watch, when you do plug it in. So, all right, now playability. As I went into it before, with overall comfort, I kind of think they're both kind of the same thing, If you're not comfortable with a guitar, its playability is also going to be affected by you not being comfortable, holding the guitar, playing with it. If you have a neck that's too beefy, that's comfort, but it's also going to affect your playability. And as I said, with both these guitars, they have necks that work, that are fine, The Thunderhorse is a little thicker. However, it does not affect the playability at all. I am able to perform, anything that I want to do on both guitars. And yeah, that's really it. The neck is painted on the back, but it doesn't seem to affect playability at all. As well as the Thunderhorse, both are painted. But yeah, that's really it. Nothing gets in the way, really. These are far enough so that you're not accidentally hitting these, knobs or anything. And yeah, overall playability, fantastic on both guitars. Now we are going to go into our second to last segment here. This is aesthetics. Now, again, as I touched at the beginning, these are gorgeous guitars. I mean, come on, just freaking look at this. It is a white guitar with a very light silver burst. You can kind of tell a little bit in the camera. And a white neck. Now, this thing is just immediately, this just gets eyes on you immediately because just of the ridiculousness of this guitar. It's beautiful, and to be frank, there's really nothing like it. There is, I believe, a Tesla guitar that's like this, but this one came first, and the Tesla dude basically did the exact same thing, but I think he did like a red pick guard on it. And when you couldn't find these things, I was considering getting the Tesla guitar and then just putting a white pick guard on it, try to recreate the Snow Falcon without paying those inflated Snow Falcon prices. But yeah, I was able to find one of these, so thankfully I didn't have to do that. But aesthetically, this thing is fantastic, as well as the Thunderhorse. This thing, as well as the Snow Falcon, is able to capture that classic kind of Epiphone Gibson look while still putting like a modern twist on it. This thing looks, I think this thing would be liked by, let's say, a collector, like a Gibson collector. I mean, just, it's beautiful, and it sounds fierce. It's able to, this was before when I felt like, I don't know, Epiphone and Gibson kind of didn't know what they're doing in terms of the modern guitar player. This was right before Epiphone's Prophecy series, where they actually listened to the modern guitar player and, did, fulfilled needs for that modern guitar player. So you kind of have this guitar before that where it's just, it does the trick. They play in C standard. So Brendan Smalls, that first season of Metalocalypse, he was using Gibson guitars, but he had EMG pickups in the bridge. And then that second season, he still went with Gibson guitars. However, he had switched to all Marshall gear, and he killed the EMG pickups for something passive. Now, I think he was just using the straight stock Gibson pickups, so that's probably the inspiration for these burst buckers here. He was able to do a modern death metal sound with classic, Gibson / Epiphone hardware. So, if it's good for Brendan Smalls, it works for me. And, overall, the aesthetics are they're just beautiful. In the first season, Squizgar and Toki had just the standard black Epiphone V and the standard Epiphone Explorer. And it was fine, but you became associated with those characters having those specific shapes. And then they just went and did this, and it gave the actual character, Squizgar and Toki, even more, character in what they did. So, yeah, aesthetically, these things are gorgeous, and they'll get anybody looking your way on stage. All right. So here is my overall thoughts on these guitars. It's hard, man. It's hard for you to get these guitars. I'm going to just tell you. There's a bunch of them up for sale, but they're extremely overpriced. These have essentially become, collector's guitars. There is a third one that I don't have. It is effectively Brendan Small's Galacticon guitar. It is the Ghost Horse. I have not gotten it because the Ghost Horse has a Floyd Rose. And the thing with Floyd Roses is, even if you get an official Floyd Rose, you really, from guitar to guitar, there is a big chance of that Floyd just not being a good Floyd. I've gone through many, Floyd Roses, Floyd Rose Special, Floyd Rose 2000, or 1000 series rather, and you get the cheapy Floyd Rose, and there is such inconsistency unless you have an official Floyd Rose that it could just be a nightmare to work with that. So I will get the Ghost Horse eventually, just not now. But my overall rating of these guitars is I absolutely love them. They are completely indistinguishable from my other guitars, regardless of whether I'm using a Solar or I'm using, anything else. I've got a Warlock in that corner. That's probably the roughest guitar that I have. But whatever I decide to grab, whether it be my Legator or my Firefly that I reviewed, months ago, these things just fit right in. They are fantastic. They don't slow me down. They have become part of my collection and my rotation as well. I don't bring the Snow Falcon out as much because, like I said, it is fantastic condition. The Thunderhorse is a little bit more beat up, so I'm more okay with bringing that guy out. However, it still looks beautiful. These guitars are fantastic. They are great, and they are a perfect homage, I think, to like that classic Epiphone and Gibson look, with it being modern, and I think anybody who is able to get their hands on these guitars, will appreciate them a lot. They're definitely worth it, I think. Maybe not the inflated prices. I won't say the website, but I think we all know where you get these types of guitars. But these old, these just insane prices for these guitars, is it worth it? It really is up to the person itself, because you can take the money that you would spend on, either one of these guitars on that website, and you can just buy, I don't know, like a Solar, or a higher end anything else. It really is just my absolute love for Metalocalypse that I was like, one day I'm going to get these guitars. It was a mission. I failed to get them when they came out. I was a poor college student, please, forgive me. And I just slept on it. And now I finally got them. And overall, I love these. So that's it, guys. That's Mike's Rig Rundown. I hope this didn't go on super long. But And I'm sure there's a bunch of B-stock footage I could show you up close and personal what these guitars look like. Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed anything. Again, like I said, this is a weird one because these aren't guitars that are, that you can just buy at Guitar Center, You have to find them, and you will pay those crazy prices. But if it's worth it for you, it's worth it for you. Don't let anybody tell you different. I love these, and yeah, as Death Clock is approaching on us with a brand new album and a new movie and a new tour, I am super jazzed up about Death Clock again. I'm glad. I'm so happy. And you're going to be seeing a lot more Death Clock content from me, including a couple covers coming in the future. So be on the lookout for that, guys. This is Mike's Rig Rundown. Boom. Thank you and good night.